I'm Caleb Giddings from Gun Nuts Media, and today's video we're going to be talking about 5 reasons why chamber empty carry is a terrible and dangerous idea for self-defense. Number 5, and we'll just get this one out of the way first so that every single comment in the video isn't, "But the Israelis." Okay, look, we're going to do a little history lesson here as to why Israeli carry, or that chamber empty method of carry, came into existence. So for those of you that don't know, the Israeli army has always been a conscript army, right? And back in the day, when it was first created, when the nation of Israel was a brand new thing, and every single country around them wanted to wipe them out, some things never change, but anyway, and every single country around them wanted to wipe them completely out, they didn't have a standard issued handgun, all right? They had a wild assortment of handguns that were left over from World War II that they captured from enemies, just a complete hodgepodge of handguns. And I will say this for chambered empty carry: the only method that will reliably bring any semi-automatic handgun, aside from weird ones like Mausers and Lugers, but anyway, the only method that will reliably bring any semi-automatic handgun into a condition of readiness is chamber empty carry and racking the slide. So that was why the Israelis started doing it, because they could issue one guy a Walther P38 and another guy a Browning high power and another guy, I don't know, a 1911, and teach all of them the exact same manual of arms of insert magazine, rack, slide, and it would work universally for every gun that they had at the time. Now, as militaries often do, once a thing becomes doctrine, it's very difficult to unmake it as doctrine. So despite the fact that we live in the 21st century now with handguns that are perfectly safe to be carried with a round in the chamber, and the fact that the Israeli military now has a standard issue handgun for everyone who needs to carry a handgun, once a thing is dogma, it's really hard to pull it out, and that's why they still do it with their line infantry units. Now, one thing that I do want to add to this is the Israeli Special Operations units, their elite Tier 1 face-shooting dudes, their equivalent of Navy SEALs or Green Berets, that sort of stuff, they carry with a round in the pipe. So, I know it's not a reason why why chamber empty carry is bad or dangerous, but number 5 is just to eliminate, but Caleb, the Israelis do it. Yes, they do. They do it because they've been doing it since 1940 whatever and haven't been able to remove it from their training dogma, and their Tier 1 elite units don't do it. So stop saying that. Number 4. It's slower. In my previous video on this topic, back when I had no hair and was still living in South Dakota, I demoed drawing and firing the gun to a reduced size target, both with a round in the chamber and without a round in the chamber. And it's just slower, all right? A lot of people took the wrong thing from that. They thought that we were trying to make the world some sort of quick draw contest, or that I was saying you can outdraw a drawn gun, which that's a completely different video for a completely different time. The point here that we're trying to make is that if someone is trying to kill you, which is a reason that you would need your defensive firearm as a private citizen, if someone is trying to kill you, they want to murder your ass dead as fried chicken, do you really want to be slower? Is that your plan? Your plan is to be slower than you could be if you had a round in the chamber. That's your plan. And this doesn't apply just to gunfights or anything like that. If I'm in a fighting in a phone booth situation and I suddenly need to go to guns because I have the opportunity to get my pistol out and fire from a compressed position or something like that, I'm not going to have the time to rack the frickin' slide. Are you kidding me? Get the fuck out of here with this shit. There is no way, there is no situation where you can tell me it's a better idea to have a slower first shot than a faster first shot. And that's what you get with chamber empty carry. You get to be slower than the guy that's trying to murder you. Number 3, you might not have 2 hands free to draw the gun. So obviously my weak hand right now is occupied with delicious beer from my friend's brewery, but I'm using this as an actual example, not just because I like drinking beer, which I do like beer. But anyway, it's not the point. The point here is that one of my hands is occupied doing something, all right? Obviously, I'm not carrying a gun right now because I'm drinking. I have a blue gun that we're going to be using later for this demo. But let's say that I'm in a self-defense situation and there's something in my support hand, like a cell phone or a child. There's a good one. I'm holding my child in my arms. I don't have any infant children or anything like that. So I'm holding my child in my arms, and I suddenly need to draw my gun for self-defense. What am I going to do? Throw my fucking kid on the ground? Oh, screw you, Junior. The whole reason I carry a gun, I'm just going to dump you on the ground, crack your skull open, give you a concussion. No, of freaking course not. But the problem is the people who have who advocate for chamber empty carry have this fantasy ideal of how their gunfight's going to work out, and they're always going to have enough time to set their kid down or let go of their girlfriend's hand or put their car keys in their pocket or whatever it is that's going on with their support hand. But I have a news flash for you, Jack. In the real world, we're often doing stuff with this hand that we can't just drop and let go because a violent criminal actor decided that today was the day our balloon was going to go up, all right? This hand may not be free to rack the slide. And then if it's not, what you're left with is crazy stuff like racking the gun off your belt or your holster or some other silly nonsense, which is then definitely slower than just drawing a loaded gun, disengaging any manual safeties, and shooting the person that needs to be shot. But whatever. The other time that you might not have a hand free is if you are surprised, all right? If you're in a situation where you're now fighting for your life and you need this hand to make a frame, or maybe you've got an underhook. Okay, who am I kidding? Anybody who advocates for chamber empty carry has no fucking idea what an underhook is. But anyway, maybe you're fighting this guy off and you're trying to defend yourself and you can't get this hand free. Maybe, like I was doing in my recent appearance on First Person Defender, which I'll drop a link to that video in the comment section here or the description, maybe this hand is holding on to the bad guy's gun to keep him from shooting you in the guts with it. What am I going to do then? Fish my gun out and river dance the slide into battery by kicking it? No, I'm going to draw my gun and I'm going to shoot that guy because I already have a round in the chamber. Come on. Number 2, it's actually less safe than carrying with a round in the chamber. Allow me to demonstrate. First, the idea is here that we don't want to introduce unnecessary administrative gun handling into our lives, right? So for example, we don't want to touch the gun if we don't need to touch the gun. I'm going to demonstrate using this blue gun. You can definitely tell this is not a real gun since, again, booze and real guns don't mix. I'm going to demonstrate using this blue gun. And the idea here, as I set that down, is very simple. When I get up in the morning, here's what happens. This is laying on my nightstand because it's got my carry gun in it. I have taken it off at the end of the day. I get up, I do my morning ablutions, etc., etc. Maybe I go to the gym or whatever. But when I come back and I put my real pants on, this is all I do. I take the gun, I pop the pull the dot loops because pull the dot loops are the bomb. Relax, I'm not taking my pants off. And I put the loaded gun in the holster in my pants. Just like come on. There we go. Just like that. And now, one, it's also really well concealed because this is a great holster. And two, I've done no unnecessary administrative gun handling, all right? Gun in holster stays in holster. I know it's loaded because I loaded it whenever it was that I started carrying it. And that's it. If I really feel salty, I'll get the gun pointed in a safe direction and I'll do a press check of it, which I do sometimes encourage people to do. But if at any point I need to take this gun out and fire it, I know it's loaded. I haven't had to screw with my magazines. I haven't had to introduce any unnecessary gun handling because when you touch guns, you increase your chances of having a negligent discharge. So if I'm in a self-defense situation and all of a sudden my motor control is degraded because your motor control degrades when there is stress, all right? Regardless of whatever self-defense situation you're in, your motor control is going to go down because adrenaline is going to be coursing through your veins at a feeling, at a pace that you have never experienced before. You are going to be so adrenalized and you're going to be so freaking jacked up that it's going to be difficult for you to do some stuff. Trust me. When you're super adrenalized, if you're not an extremely well-trained person, some motor functions kind of, all right? Which is why we practice. That's a different video, by the way, which is why we practice so that when we are adrenalized and we are all jacked up on whatever, we can get the job done. Because you're all adrenalized, because you're all jacked up, something like racking the slide becomes difficult. So now we introduce this motor skill into an environment, and this is not a fine motor skills, gross motor skills conversation. I do not believe that you can't perform fine motor skills under stress because pulling the trigger is a fucking fine motor skill, and people do that under stress just fine. What I'm talking about, though, is people performing actions that they're not extremely practiced at under stress creates the chances for something bad to happen, like a negligent discharge. Especially since, let's say you always carry your gun with an empty chamber, man. Don't worry, bro, it's unloaded. Do you know how many fucking people have been shot with unloaded guns? Chamber empty carry is not more safe than carrying with a loaded chamber. Your gun, unless it's some piece of shit garbage gun, your gun is designed to be carried with a round in the chamber, okay? If it's a 1911, it's designed to be carried with a round in the chamber, hammer cocked, safety on. If it's a Glock, it's designed to be carried with a round in the chamber. If it's a Beretta, it's designed to be carried with a round in the chamber, decocked, and safety off. Safety off? But Caleb, oh no. Look, your gun was designed to be carried with a round in the chamber. It is not more safe to carry your gun without a round in the chamber. And if you think that you're more safe by carrying with an empty chamber, maybe you shouldn't be carrying a gun at all. And the reason I say that is if you think that you're more safe by carrying a gun with an empty chamber, you don't trust yourself to safely execute the fundamentals of responsible gun handling. If you really think you're that unsafe, don't carry a gun. Get pepper spray. Do something else, all right? I have been carrying a gun professionally and as an armed citizen for, good Lord, 15, 16, how old am I now? Almost 20 years. That's a long time. Carrying with a round in the chamber, which I have done for all of that time, has never made me less safe. The times that I've been unsafe is when I didn't have good gun handling, when I didn't practice the 4 rules, when I didn't understand the fundamentals of good gun handling. Taking your gun out and being like, don't worry, bro, there isn't a round in the chamber, blue gun, calm down, isn't safe, all right? That's not gun safety. That's being an idiot. Just because you don't put a round in the chamber doesn't make this thing any more safe. What makes it safe is the person behind it. And if you're so unsure of your gun handling skills that you think carrying with an empty chamber makes you safe, maybe you shouldn't be carrying a gun at all. And now we're at the final reason why chamber empty carry is a terrible idea for real-world concealed carry. And you know what that is? Your situational awareness isn't as good as you think. And that's the big argument. I see this all the time. In the comments on my old chamber empty carry is stupid video, so many people have come into that video and been like, well, my situational awareness is so good, I'll just see an attack coming before it happens, and I'll have plenty of time to chamber around. Fuck you. No, you won't. Your situational awareness isn't that good, all right? When you talk about the Cooper color codes, the white, yellow, orange, red color codes, nobody is walking around 24/7 in condition orange. You know when I spend the most time in condition orange? When I ride a motorcycle around Miami. That is when I am in condition orange for the most amount of time. And you know what? It's mentally exhausting to be that alert for that long a time. No one's in condition orange that long. You're not, all right? The number of videos on YouTube of people getting jacked, especially down in Brazil, all right, of people getting jacked when they had no idea that it was coming, your situational awareness isn't that good, okay? What you're telling me when you say, my situational awareness is so good that I'm going to see an attack coming and I'll have plenty of time to chamber around, what you're actually saying is, I've never taken a class involving real violence or managing unknown contacts. I've never been in a force-on-force class where a willful opponent was trying to oppose me from doing something. What you're telling me when you say that is that you're a fucking ignorant idiot and that you have no idea what real-world violence looks like. That's pretty much what you're saying in that situation. And I have no time for that, all right? I have no time for that. If there is one issue that I will frickin' plant a flag on the hill and I will die on this hill, it's that chamber empty carry is fucking stupid and people who advocate for it are idiots. And not just idiots. If you advocate for it, if you tell other people that they should carry with an empty chamber, you are willfully endangering their lives. All right? It's not safer. It's far more dangerous. And your situational awareness isn't good enough to give you the advantage on a violent criminal actor. Think about this. Your job, you're an accountant. You're a truck driver. You're a nurse. You know, that's your job, all right? Violent criminal actors, crime is their job. Fucking you up is their job. They're probably way better at violence than you are. And you're probably not good enough and not situationally aware enough to recognize those pre-assault cues in time to draw your weapon, chamber around, and get it on target before they've stabbed you, hit you with a pipe, or shot you with their Jennings 25. That's the real world, man. And I know this video is going to hurt a lot of butts because people don't like hearing this reality talk. But if chamber empty carry was so great, why don't any of the U.S. police departments do it? I'm Caleb Giddings. Until next time, remember, run your gun with a round in the chamber, not your mouth.